Well, a very good evening to you, and thank you for making time to join us on this particular bulletin, The Insight, on Wednesday, today, the 9th of August, 2023. Now, 1 year ago, we went to the ballot. William Ruto garnering 7,176,141 votes, thus becoming Kenya's 5th president. However, 12 months down the line, the situation remains dire. Of the administration insisting they inherited a battered economy, to the same government being on a spending spree left, right and center. The situation economically raising eyebrows. Key concerns to the common man still being the overtaxation, especially after the implementation of the Finance Act, a law that many deemed as oppressive. Now, the president, however, remains adamant that the act will help him implement his agenda. Question is, will things change? And if so, after how long? Give credit where it's due, they say. The government has actualized its plan to offer subsidized fertilizer to farmers, setting a target of 60 million bags of maize in the next planting season. Will the government be able to boost production through this program and achieve its target, which will in turn lower the cost of living, as the president alludes? Finally, the political situation remains dire in the country. The country marred with protests. The election outcome still being a concern to the opposition, with both sides engaging in a war of words despite the bipartisan talks scheduled to kick off officially on Monday. But I dare ask, will the two sides hold meaningful talks with two different lists of issues? Now, today marks 1 year since Kenyans went to the ballot, and of course, President Ruto becoming the president. What do you make of these administration's first 10 months in office? Of course, the elections happened 1 year ago, but took 2 months before they got into office. What do you make of these administration's time in office? So far, so good since you casted your vote. Do let us know, what do you think? Across all social media platforms at Lookuptv on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, we'll be able to sample some of your views just to understand what you think. But first of all, let's have a look at what's making headlines.
Tonight on The Insight, a welcome sign of democracy. Kenya Kwanza and Azimio talks begin at the Bomas of Kenya. President William Ruto rules out possibility of a handshake as the bipartisan talks begin.
The president and the deputy president, their salaries have been retained from where they were previously.
President Ruto and his deputy Gachagua miss out on salary increment as SRC reviews pay for state and public servants.
Wakati aliona amepiga innocent, alianza kupiga hawa watu wengine. Kila mtu orera. Buduki ni mwiko.
Kazini yangu amepatwa kama amekaa kwa duthi akigojea mteja.
Kuna exchange ilitokea between askari na hao magaidi.
And 5 people shot in a gunfire exchange between police and robbers in Dandora, Nairobi County.
Welcome to the program. I am Ian Keitani, and our sign language interpreter is Felista Adundu. Now, following calls by stakeholders for negotiation talks between Kenya Kwanza government and the Azimio coalition, Wednesday morning saw the two political factions officially meet at the Bomas of Kenya to address contentious issues facing Kenyans, top among them the high cost of living. Stanley Lugaria pitched camp at the Bomas of Kenya and now brings the following story.
The long-awaited bipartisan talks between Azimio and the Kenya Kwanza coalitions have today kicked off after a back-and-forth show of might that rocked the two political rival factions in the country, leading to intervention of respective stakeholders to call for dialogues so as to seek resolution of the political tantrums in the country.
We have held a very successful meeting this morning, and as indicated, we have agreed that we will begin the dialogue process once we frame the agenda items, and I think we should be ready with that by Monday. As agreed, we will have the secretariat that will be supported by Parliament.
On Wednesday, the teams laid bare the terms and conditions around the talks and have retreated until Monday to draft the framework of how the tete-a-tete will be conducted.
We shall not negotiate, and this is important for us, for any form of power sharing with the Kenya Kwanza Alliance or put any personal interest ahead of the interests of our people. Fellow Kenyans, we ask for your continued prayers and support so that we may find a lasting solution to the challenges that bedevil our nation.
Among the issues expected to take center stage of the dialogue include the cost of living menace and audit of the 2022 presidential election results, matters greatly opposed by the Kenya Kwanza faction, restructuring and reconstitution of the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission and related matters, measures to prevent interference with political parties and outstanding constitutional matters, governance issues, adequate checks and balances, and the big question of boundaries delimitation.
We have heavy issues before us. We know we will agree. We may disagree on some, but we all engage in good faith and with mutual respect for each other and for Kenyans and in the best interest of the country.
Azimio coalition, through its team led by Kalonzo Musyoka, has insisted that it will ensure the discussions are tied and address the plight of common mwananchi.
We have to agree on how we frame the agenda, because the two sides have the different agenda items. But more importantly, I've said we are going to work as a team.
I'm here with my colleagues from various counties. We have come, as you're aware today, that is the beginning of the national dialogue on various issues that affect the nation. And we have come as a caucus of members who have similar issues from the regions where we come from to present those issues. We have come to take this early opportunity to have our issues captured as the national conversation begins.
We've been given an appointment to come on Monday to formally present our request. So we will be here on Monday after receiving a communication from the two chairs of the bilateral talks.
There seems to be a light at the end of the tunnel in the long run, after two political factions, Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, agreed to have the bipartisan talks beginning Monday next week. Stanley Lugaria, Lookuptv, Nairobi.
Thank you very much, Stanley Ligaria. Now, as the 10-member committee officially embarked on talks on Wednesday to tackle contentious issues raised by the two opposing sides, President William Ruto has emphatically ruled out any negotiations that will see a handshake arrangement with the Azimio team. The head of state has additionally ruled out discussions on the audit of the IEBC servers as demanded by Azimio leader Raila Odinga, saying matters elections were settled when the electoral body declared the results. Our reporter Henry Tende looks at the grandstanding witnessed on both sides with the talks at an infancy stage and files the following story.
As the discussions by the 10-member committee entrusted with the responsibility of finding agreeable formula on contentious issues pitting the government and opposition are set to begin Wednesday next week, signs of another winding tussle are showing up over the issues on the table for discussions. President Ruto, who is on a 5-day tour of Central Region, has told opposition any notion of handshake arrangement will not be entertained by his administration.
Walilete fujo kwa Moi, wakapatiwa cooperation. Wakakuja wakasumbua mzee wetu Kibaki, mpaka wakawapatia nusu mkate. Wamekuja wakazungusha Uhuru, mpaka wakaenda na handshake. Mimi nawatangazia mapema mchana, hii ya hasla hii, hiyo wasahau na wasahau. Kwa hii serikali hakuna handshake. Hii serikali hakuna nusu mkate. Kama kuna kazi imebaki ni kazi ya hawa vijana, ndio tuwafanyie kazi.
The head of state is also adamant there will be no discussions around the audit of the IEBC servers. This is one of the issues Azimio has fronted for dialogue. However, President Ruto says elections are done and dusted.
Munataka tuendelee ati kuongea mambo ya saba? Ati wao sijui kiongozi gani atapata nini?
Wewe rais ni wetu, na sisi tulikuchagua tukijua nini tunafanya. Tulijaribu kushawishiwa na yule rais wetu aliondoka tukuache, tukamwambia tukuachi.
Mimi nilikuwa nasukuma mzee kwa mlima, mayanga ile kuaguka tuliaguka hujaiona. Na huko siwezi rudi tena.
Nyinyi mnataka watu ya kuingia serikali kupitia kwa dirisha.
The head of state continues to blame Raila over what he terms as politics of threats and intimidation. Ruto says Raila Odinga is known for using violence to access the government through the back door. He now reiterates he will not allow the opposition to conduct another series of protests that will be destructive.
Kenya will never again entertain currency around violence. Violence can never be part of the currency of the political equation of the Republic of Kenya.
While launching several projects in Nyeri, President Ruto has cautioned the opposition group Azimio against engaging in early politics and has advised them to allow elected leaders serve the citizens.
Sasa kazi ya viongozi wananchi walimaliza. Hakuna tena mjadala itafanyika ati kiongozi fulani apate chochote. Ile mazungumzo iko ni vile vijana hawa watawapangia ajira. Vile mkulima mazao yake itapata soko. Vile Kenya tutazalisha uchumi. Vile tutafukuza umaskini. Vile tutashughulika na matibabu ya wananchi, Kenya ibadilike. Ama namna gani?
Even before the discussions proper begin, fears are now growing the strong hardline stance adopted by both sides might frustrate the process that has resulted in relative peace in the country. Henry Tende, Lookuptv.
Now, Interior CS Kithure Kindiki has confirmed that the Security Department was aware of the presence of WorldCoin in the country, although its activities were not clearly defined. CS for Information and Technology, that is Eliud Owalo, has explained that the government has placed strategies to ensure that people's personal information is not at risk. Ruga Eval with the details.
The investigation carried out by DCI reveals that the WorldCoin registration company was not legally registered in Kenya. The Cabinet Secretary for Internal Security, Professor Kithure Kindiki, appeared before the House to answer the questions arising regarding the registration of this company. Kindiki has said that there is nothing to fear because the data of Kenyans is still safe.
On the question whether the Business Registration Services Department or the Registrar of Business Names had registered this company, the answer is in the negative. However, I would like to bring to the attention of the House, Honorable Speaker, that this entity appeared to have carried its operations through a Kenyan agency. In other words, the company itself, although the company had been registered as a controller of data, the actual operations of processing data and harvesting data seems to have been coordinated through an agency, a properly registered business owned and managed by Kenyans.
The Cabinet Secretary for Technology, Eliud Owalo, presenting the report of the results of the investigation against the registration. Owalo has claimed that the WorldCoin company was registered on April 18th of this year, but its activities have been continuing for more than 1 year, stating that in the month of May, the Department of Data Collection suspended its operation for 60 days.
1. The government has established and operationalized the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner in conformity to the Data Protection Act 2019, Mr. Speaker. Further, the government has undertaken development and publication of the data protection regulations as at 31st December 2021. The government has also been conducting regular inspections and audits of entities registered as data controllers, Mr. Speaker, and data processors, and also undertaking regular investigations on breaches of the Data Protection Act 2019. In the same vein, Mr. Speaker, the government has undertaken development and implementation of personal data training curriculum.
Additionally, according to Owalo, he has explained that the investigation of how the information registered will be used is still in progress.
The government has undertaken public sensitization on data privacy and cyber hygiene. In addition to the above, Mr. Speaker, it is worth noting that the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Information, Communication and the Digital Economy has constituted a committee to look into regulatory reforms informed by emerging technologies, including but not limited to digital currencies such as cryptocurrency, Mr. Speaker. This is informed by the fact that the operational environment is dynamic, and as factors in play in that operational environment change, it is also incumbent upon us as government, Mr. Speaker, to continuously look at ways and means of reviewing our policies, laws and regulations in line with changes and emerging issues.
However, the lawmakers have raised a number of concerns in relation to the report presented by the Cabinet Secretaries Robert Mbowe, Member of Parliament for Kadhiani, fearing that the digital networks in Kenya are being hacked frequently, an issue that is risking the security of the data of Kenyans, giving an example of the hacking of the eCitizen network that happened recently.
The question I have for the Cabinet Secretaries, was there a lapse in intelligence service? Because what these people were doing must have been advertised. That is how they got Kenyans to go and get the service.
I want them to assure this House that the government of Kenya is going to invest in crime prevention so that we don't behave as if we are reactionary to carry out investigations. Maybe these people who came here, they have already gotten what they wanted.
The government is currently undertaking investigations to establish the intended objectives of the exercise by WorldCoin.
Ruga Ibal, Lookuptv.
That particular story by Ruga Ibal takes us on a short break. Don't go away because we have many more stories coming ahead, including the increment of salaries to state officers by 7 to 10%. Don't go away.
Karibu mtazamaji kwenye kipindi cha jamii na itikadi.
Kaini kitako tuna mengi.
Mapenzi yanapoanza watu huitana bebi na majina mengine matamu, lakini baadaye penzi linapogeuka na kuwa shubiri,
mtu anafikia kwenda kumtafuta mke mwingine.
Itakuwaje?
Yule wa kwake nyumbani labda hajamridhisha.
Ni sawa ama vipi Malkia?
Dadangu, wanaume ni kama maembe.
Huyu mwanamume atakuja abadiliki.
Mwanaume mwenye wanawake wengi hata katika uchumba, kwenye ndoa ataendelea. Mtu na tabia yake hawachi. Ile umbo la kike likishaanza, kila kitu kishaanza kuwa mahali pake.
Ningependa kukuona.
Sijaenda mahali ambapo mimi nilisikia mtu ati huyu alikuwa shujaa, alikufa katika mstari wa mbele wa ndoa. Sijawahi sikia mimi.
Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na manjoro. Every Sunday, saa 10. Jiunge na mimi ili nikufundishe mengi kuhusu ukulima wa nyanya, wa mboga, kuweka ng'ombe, kila kitu ambayo inahusikana na ukulima, ili ujifundishe mengi, uweze kujua ukulima pia ni mali. Kumbuka kipindi ni nini? Kipindi ni ukulima ni mali na manjoro, upate hela.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Now, public servants are set to get a salary increment of 7 to 10%. However, the salaries of President William Ruto and his deputy Rigathi Gachagua will not be reviewed. This is according to SR3 chairperson Lena Mengesh, who has today announced the scrapping of various allowances, including retreat and sitting allowances for institutional internal committees. In the latest allocations by the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, the teaching fraternity are the biggest winners after being allocated 44% of the 21.7 billion shillings given to the commission, amounting to 9.5 billion shillings.
As Kenyans continue to grapple with the high cost of living amid skyrocketing prices of common commodities, state officers including legislators are set to smile all the way to the bank after the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, led by its chairperson, announced salary increment for state officers.
The average increase is 7 to 10% over a 2-year period, inclusive of the existing notch increase, which averages 3% annually.
With their juniors getting a 7 to 10% salary increment, President William Ruto and his deputy will have their salaries remaining constant.
So there is a review for state officers as well. The president and the deputy president, their salaries have been retained from where they were previously.
In this financial year, the Commission received an allocation of 21.7 billion from the Treasury, with the funds distributed across different government entities. The teaching service was allocated over 9.5 billion shillings, attributing to 44.2% of the 21.7 billion. The disciplined forces also got a lion's share, being allocated 4.5 billion shillings, which is 20.9% of the total amount allocated to SRC. County governments were allocated at least 4 billion shillings, translating to 18.8%. The civil service was allocated 1.8 billion shillings, translating to 8.5%. County state officers also got 408 million shillings, attributing to 1.9% of the 21.7 billion. Executive state officers were allocated 126 million shillings, that translating to 0.6% of the 21.7 billion allocated to SRC. As the officers get salary increments, the Commission has however scrapped various allowances, with the state officers having their daily subsistence allowance for local travels adjusted.
Retreat allowance. Payment of retreat allowance in addition to the basic salary amounts to double compensation and consequently ceases to be payable. Daily subsistence allowance for local travel has been standardized across the country for the respective grades.
Mengish also expressed concerns over the low rate of wage bill compared to the nominal GDP, it being below the benchmark of 7.5%.
So the ratio of wage bill to GDP has declined from 8.4% in financial year 2017-18 to 7.53 and projected to continue reducing. It is projected to 7.9 as I alluded to it earlier, so against a target of 7.5 for developing countries.
While addressing the media in the capital, Nairobi, Mengish noted that the huge amount of requests of salary increments to the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, while reiterating the Commission's mandate in ensuring the wage bill does not surpass the GDP.
So in total, just for those 3 years, the Commission received requests worth 98.8 billion and only approved 12.9 billion. So that goes to demonstrate how the Commission is continuously ensuring that the wage bill is not outpacing the revenue of GDP growth by continuously applying the principle of fiscal sustainability.
Ian Keitani, Lookuptv.
Now, a fuel truck lost control and burst into flames, burning the driver beyond recognition in Bungoma along the Webuye-Malaba Highway. As our reporter Faith Bonareri now reports, a cyclist escaped death by a whisker after he was shoved to the side of the road by the swerving truck.
A long-distance truck driver lost his life after his truck carrying petrol lost control and burst into flames at Sikata along Webuye-Malaba Highway. In the incident, a cyclist was hit as the trailer was rolling, but he survived narrowly.
Ikanipitako tu kidogo na nikaiona hiyo Nissan nikapinduka pia. Kuangalia mbele naona hii trailer sasa imeanza kupringika. Na mimi kwa ajili ya baiskeli pia mimi nikiangua mtaroni nikaanza kupringika kidogo. Ikakata waya ya stima, nikaanguka karibu na waya ya stima. Hata nilikuwa nafikiri waya ya stima ndio inanichapa mimi. Lakini tena nikapringika. Kuamuka tu hivi. Trailer imeanguka penye nimeamukia tu.
First responders at the scene tried to save the driver, but the truck exploded to flames within minutes.
Kitu ambacho nimeona tu hapa na kuna kijana tu wa boda mmoja alijaribu kuokoa huyu mtu wa trailer. Shida tu yenye alifanya hata angetoka mzima, alikuwa amefunga belt na akashindwa kufungua. Akachukua sweta, tumeangalia tu akachifunika kwa uso. Ile moto ya kwanza ya pili ndiye imefanya huyu jamaa akaungua.
Bungoma Police Commander Francis Kooli has called on road users to be cautious on the roads to avoid fatal accidents.
For me, at this point, it's just a matter of advising people, the drivers, be cautious, and also those who are responding. At times, there are incidents where we can respond, all of us, in terms of going to put the fire off. But in such circumstances, it is dangerous because it is carrying inflammable material, where we'll be exposing many Kenyans to risk.
Faith Bonareri, Lookuptv.
Thank you, Monarari. Now, 5 people are nursing serious injuries at Mama Lucy Hospital here in the capital, Nairobi, after a gunfire exchange at Dandora Total Railway Cross between the police and alleged robbers. Witnesses now claim that there was no action that warranted the shooting since there was no robbery witnessed. On the contrary, the police stated that 3 robbery suspects were asked to surrender but pulled out their guns, leading to a shootout.
Residents of Dandora area in Nairobi are calling out the police for shooting 5 innocent pedestrians for no reason after a gunfire exchange ensued.
Leo tumeshuhudia kitendo yenye hatujai fikiria tunaweza shuhudia. Askari ambaye hatujui nini mbaya na yeye, ama ni mwenda wazimu ama ako namna gani. Kwa sababu leo amefuata mtu akisema, akifikiria ama akishuku ni mwizi, ambaye si mwizi, tunamjua vizuri, ni mtu wa bodaboda kama wale wengine.
Among the injured were passengers who were waiting to board vehicles at the matatu terminus.
Mama amepatikana risasi akienda kuingia gari. Nikampata. Kazini yangu amepatwa kama amekaa kwa duthi akigojea mteja. Nimempata. Tungebaki haki yao itendeke.
The police, however, tell a different tale. According to the area OCPD Francis Ngugi, police were on patrol when they found robbers in action and asked them to surrender, but they declined, leading to a fire exchange. Ngugi further stated that phone theft at gunpoint has been ongoing for a while in the area, and the police have been pursuing the culprits for a long time without trace.
Askari yetu ambaye huwa ni undercover police officers wakiwa doria ile ya kuangalia usalama walipata distress call kuwa kuna watu wanaibiwa, na immediately wakateka action ya kukimbia penye kuangalia ni kitu gani watu wanafanya nini, na wakapata kuwa kuna watu walikuwa naibiwa simu na vijana 3. Immediately wakachukua action, lakini katika ile hali ya kutaka kuchallenge hao ndio wasimame, mmoja wao akatoa bunduki, ikalazimisha askari wetu kutoa bunduki na kupiga mmoja wao.
Ngugi has confirmed that one suspect nursing a head gunshot wound is under police watch at Mama Lucy Hospital.
Tuko na record ya watu 5 ambaye walipelekwa na majeraha ya risasi kule Mama Lucy, na sasa wako hospitali wanahudumiwa huko.
Nushin Mungasia, Lookuptv.
Now, parents and students affected by the Finland education scandal in Uasin Gishu County today stormed the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission offices in Eldoret town, demanding a refund of their money. Now, during the peaceful demonstrations, the protesters were escorted by police and were addressed by the EACC officials on the status of the investigations into the alleged embezzlement of up to 837 million shillings by the Uasin Gishu County government.
Tuambie ni nini tutafanya, ama tukujange tukae kwa hii gate yenu the whole day, ama tuende tukae kwa gate ya county the whole day, ama tukae kwa barabara ndo wananchi watusaidie basi. Kwa sababu mkituambia it is under review, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, we are very tired. Help us bring this matter into a swift conclusion. Every child here has dreams. Janet here has dreams. Sharon has dreams. Caro has dreams. Brian has dreams. Kevin has dreams. We do not want to die. Some are threatening to commit suicide, and you are silent. You are silent, and you are put in office to help us. You cannot be silent. You cannot be silent at such a time as this.
Huyu mtu mbona hamukuchukua hata passport yake mkahalao yeye aende? So are you not accomplices in this game? So mimi niwaachia wanafunzi kwanza na wazazi, they raise their concerns. Because we know the biggest failure katika nchi si sheria. ni wale watu wamepewa offices kufanya kazi.
Bottom of your heart, work as if you are working for your daughter. Work as if you are working for your son. Work as if you are working for your father and your mother. This is a case that is leading your parents into depression, leading your daughters and sons into depression. The one Mercy said that he threatened to commit suicide. It was me. I posted it in my Facebook page, and it was the truth. Being the hope of your parents, and then all of a sudden the leaders who are elected robbed from the same parents, is a story that will never be told in this world.
A story that will never be told in this world. She says 837 million shillings. That is a huge amount of money. Remember, the same program was implemented in Elgeyo Marakwet County, but with no scandal. What is the difference when it comes to Uasin Gishu County? The former Governor Jackson Mandego, the current Governor Jonathan Beach LLM, and the Deputy Governor Engineer John Barrot indeed must be held accountable, because it is very sad to see that students who had dreams and plans to actualize their dreams by going to study in Finland and Canada are perishing, or rather staying at home despite their parents raising funds to take them abroad to further their studies. It's up to EACC and the relevant authorities to ensure that indeed justice is served. Moving forward, farmers in Nyandarua County are counting losses running into millions of shillings every week following a glut in the market. The most affected being fresh produce farmers, with the price falling by more than 70% in 1 month. Several months ago, the area experienced a great shortage of produce due to harsh weather conditions, but the recent rains increased production excessively and caused a decline in prices at the retail level.
Kiru Wanyoike, a trader in Nyandarua County, says production has increased, forcing traders to reduce prices due to the high cost of living and therefore incurring high losses. According to traders at the popular Sokomjinga market along Nairobi-Nakuru Highway, there was overproduction of produce which led to a drop in prices at the retail level.
Kwa soko unaenda kwa shamba unanunua mboga, ukikuja hapa unapata mboga nazo zimekuwa bei rahisi. Sasa kwa shamba unanunua mboga bei kali, unakuja hapa unachomeka, ukiwa na pesa kama 50,000, baada ya wiki mbili unajipata una kitu. Kama hii msimu wa baridi, ile kitu sisi tunahofia hapa kwa soko yetu jini kwa barabara. Tunahofia hizi magari juu ya ukungu. Unaona sasa kwa hii barabara tukiangalia hapa, unaona magari zinaenda pole pole. Sasa serikali kama inaweza kubali tutengeneze hapa fence mzuri ama ua mzuri, tunaweza furahia. Because unaweza pata sometimes magari huwa zina flat. Inakuja hapa, inaanguka. Unaona? Na sisi tuko karibu na barabara. So kama wanaweza weka hapa fence mzuri, tunaweza furahia na tuone serikali inatusaidia.
Another trader, Martin Wangi, said currently a bag of potatoes is going for 2,500 shillings from 5,000 shillings in February, saying that despite a drop in prices, many of their customers cannot afford to buy produce due to the harsh economic times.
Tunanunua kwa shamba labda 2,500 na hapo tukifika ni shilingi 2,000. Kwa hivyo tuko na shida, hata wale tunauzia viazi wanakuja wanakuambia ile bei umenunua kwa shamba. Sasa tuko na hiyo shida sana ya viazi, na ndio tukitaka kujua upande ya serikali, ndio hiyo shida imekuja kwa sababu unga imekuwa bei kali sana. Kwa sababu unga kilo 2 ni shilingi 250 ama 220. Ukivuka upande ya sukari, sasa ni shilingi 250. Kwa hivyo hata mtu anakuja kununua hiyo viazi, hata akaenda kukula anakuambia hivi viazi niuzie bei ya rahisi, unamuuzia 2,000 na kwa sababu vile umekuwa umenunua.
Hadasa Crystal, Lookuptv.
Time to get sporty, and the Kenyan ladies under-20 rugby team, Young Lionesses, have finished in 4th place in the Youth Commonwealth Games held in Trinidad and Tobago. The Kenyan team lost to Fiji 22 points to 10. Anne Namunyak, and Brenda Nyabiage scored the 2 tries without conversions. However, reigning champions Australia, on the other hand, retained their title by trouncing Canada 50 points to 0. Moving forward, the second day of the secondary school games took place today at Kakamega Boys High School. In the boys soccer category, the Western Region champions Shanderema Boys drew 1-1 with Nyanza's Agoro Sare. In another match, St. Anthony's Kitale beat Serani 2-0 to accumulate 6 points, as well as Dagoretti, who trashed Matiliku 2-0. St. Anthony Kitale will face Dagoretti High tomorrow in a match to decide who will top the table.
Match is fair enough. The boys have done their best, and I think, as we were all able to see, wamejituma. Our aim is to treat each and every game the way it is, and we play them one at a time. So for this, we have a fair result, just like the opponent also has a fair result. So far, so good. The boys have done their part. We also know where our weaknesses are. I may not be able to expose them on the media. These boys are appearing in this stage for the first time, so we expect such kind of maybe performance towards the end. So going forward, I know they are getting the experience they need, and they'll do better. Shanderema is a good team. They are physical enough. On the ball, they have also done their best, and we appreciate. They were a good opponent.
Now, the fourth edition of the Eldoret City Marathon will kick off next month in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County. The chairman of the marathon, that is Moses Tanoi, has encouraged more athletes to register for the event, saying the marathon's intention is to give a platform for upcoming athletes to showcase their talents.
You know, Eldoret City Marathon is one of the marathons that tap talent, get new talents that they are not able to travel far and away, and this is their opportunity to showcase their talents. The first is 3.5, and we will pay 20 athletes, both men and women. Competitions, we have been on time paying the prize money. Unfortunately, last year we had some technical issues, but we managed to pay later. This time round, we are ready to pay the athletes immediately after we get the results from ADAC. We need to activate our operation, and we are there on 1st of October.
Former FKF Premier League champions Tusker FC are undertaking intense pre-season training with the hope of bouncing back to clinch the 2023-24 Premier League title. The 13-time Premier League champions started their training in Arusha, Tanzania, where they will play 3 friendly matches. The Brewers will play Mbuni FC twice and tackle Burundian giants Vitalo. All matches will be hosted at the Sheikh Abeid Karume Stadium in Arusha.
Okay, timu iko sawa, tumeanza pre-season vizuri sana, wachezaji wako poa, so kila mtu hapa ako tu fit, ni kung'ang'ana tu sasa tuone venye. Tuna nini, hii wiki moja tumekuja hapa camp na wachezaji wengine hapa ni wageni, so tunataka tuchili pamoja, so tusukume tuone hii season yenye inaanza tutafika wapi. Okay, unajua saa hii kuna wageni wamekuja, so wengine hatukuwa tumesoeana, so hii wiki moja itatuleta pamoja. So season ikianza hatutakuwa na ugumu wote, juu tutakuwa kila mtu amejua mwingine capacity yake kwa timu ni gani. First si rahisi but nashukuru. So wachezaji wanakuwa vizuri. So tunasukumana tu. So sioni ugumu wote. Juu ni wengine tulikuwa na wao, wengine wageni wamekuja. So wana respect tu. So na waaji waendelee kurespect mtu yote, hata kama kochini ama amepatiwa hiyo cheo. So ni kusukumana tu tuone tutafika wapi hii season. Naomba sana hii season tupate kitu, tusitoke hivyo kama last season tulitoka tukupata kitu venye tulikuwa tunatarajia. So naomba sana hii season ikuwe rahisi kwetu, at least tutoke na kitu.
Well, that particular story brings us to the end of this particular bulletin. Thank you very much for joining us. And from me, it's goodbye. Our sign language interpreter has been Felista Adundo. To the team behind the scenes, Nalima, our producer, Josh Orondo, Alvin, Sean, and done here in the studio. Thank you very much, including National Digital Desk. See you again tomorrow. Do have yourself a lovely night, and like always, God bless.